I'm going to show you 3 different tools that you can use to elevate your tracks just by cycling through some presets. Sometimes one of the hardest things, especially as you're learning, is being able to make new sounds or manipulating your sounds to feel more professional and more interesting. The reason I love using tools like this is because it can breathe new life into simple sounds, but it can also push the boundaries on more complex sounds. Whether you're really good at sound design or you're choosing a really basic preset, you can use tools like this to elevate and also breathe creativity into your sound. Some of these presets are simple choruses and a little bit of saturation, or they can completely change the way that your synth or your drums or your vocals sound. I wouldn't back up any tools that I don't actually use or believe in. So I'm going to cover these 3 tools by Karanyi Sounds, which I've covered previously in other videos. But today I'm here to talk about the downloadable content that you can add to these synths to get even more presets and more sounds to choose from. So it's called Creative Effects Plus, Polyspace, which is ambient reverberations, a big lush reverb that adds a lot of movement and color to your sounds, which can transform basic sounds into big, beautiful, lush atmospheres, or just be used as a regular reverb. Up next, we have Techncolor, which is a vintage saturator, great for adding interesting saturations to different lead sounds and drums. And lastly, we have Vapor Dimension, which is a vintage modulation, and it adds things like stereo wideners, choruses, phasers, and more. This is great for adding some movement and width to your sound and basically just squeezing a little bit more quality out of it. Let's go over some of the demos on the Karanyi Sounds website for the new DLC content on these 3 tools. Up first, we have Polyspace, which is considered a smart ambient reverb, and this is the Creative Spaces DLC content.
Drowning in your darkness is happening no more. Drowning in your darkness is happening no more.
Wow, elevates that so much. The first vocal, I didn't think it sounded a little bit warm, a little bit muddy, and with this preset on here, this Lost Time preset, it actually really makes that sound beautiful. Stunning, just really brings out a lot of that lushness, and you can make really big pads and soundscapes with this, or you can just use it on vocals like it's intended and make your vocal sound really lush. Let's try this orchestra. That sounds really nice too. You know, I'm all about making pads and atmospheres and big sounds like this for my music. So stuff like this is great because it's not just really making it sound like a reverb. It sounds like it's also kind of extending, almost like it's adding more release to the sounds because of how thick that reverb is without lowering the quality. So I really enjoy using this tool. We'll use more of the presets when we dive into the actual project part of this video, but let's go on to the next tool, which is the Techncolor saturation. We have the Creative Colors DLC for Techncolor. Let's take a listen to this Piano Fries. It's like a bit crushing, old school video game type vibe. Pretty cool. Try out the drums. Try out this bass one here. That's cool. Adds that bit of resonance. For my style of music, I would be using Techncolor for the drums to kind of bulk them up a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily use it for a lot of the other instruments, but that's just me, and it's really cool to know that these type of tools can be used for different styles of genres and different instruments. Lastly, we have Vapor Dimension, which is a smart vintage modulator, and we have the Creative Dimensions is the DLC. This one's really cool because it adds a lot of width to your sound. Wow, so obvious. Right away, you can hear the value that that can bring to your sounds.
I can see your heart, your words keep pouring down all over me. I can see your heart, your words keep pouring down all over me.
Oh, wow. Again, just so much modulation there. It really can elevate your sounds very quickly. So let's jump into the project now and actually use some of this on one of my project files. You might recognize this track from my How to Make Music Like GMJ and Matter video. By the way, you can download this Ableton project file in the link in the description below. I'm going to be adding these onto my lead bus here. So I have this 3 layers of leads and they sound like this on their own. Not too special without major processing on them, so I'm going to add in first a vapor dimension. I can open up the presets, and inside here with anything with the prefix of CD is from the new pack of presets. So we can start over here at Honky Tonk and listen how much this already changes the sound. Even with 50% dry wet, that just takes that sound into a whole new level. It completely changes the vibe of it. It makes it feel like it's not just a simple pluck anymore, but actually has a lot of character. And that's what I love about using these tools. Oh, wow. I really liked the CD keys drifty, so I'm going to keep that on. Push up a little more modulation. And I can change the type here as well. That feels a little bit more dry. This feels a little bit more wet. Maybe I'll keep it in the middle. Push the modulation up a little bit. Let's listen before and after. In the context of this track. So it definitely adds some extra character to the sound. So it doesn't just feel like a stereotypical pluck anymore. It adds a nice character, which makes it feel unique and more professional. I'm going to add in a polyspace now, which is going to give us some atmospheric movement and reverb, which is really going to help it fit in the track and feel even more professional. I'll turn off the vapor dimension. We'll cycle through some of the newer presets. Anything with the prefix CS is from the new pack. Wow, that was intense. This Fluty Loops one sounds really nice. It's like a long sustained reverb. And what I really like about the sound is it doesn't feel like it drowns the original inside of the reverb. It feels like it punches through and then it adds reverb. And it doesn't just feel like a tail of the reverb. It kind of feels like it's stretching the sound out a little bit, which is what a really nice reverb can do. So I think I'll use that one, but let's check out a couple more presets. That's also a really nice big reverb. Oh, that one's pretty cool. That one feels like it's like really melting the sound in this huge reverb. That's really neat. I'm gonna go back to the Fluty Loops one because that's the reverb that I felt would fit really well with this lead. Let's listen before and after. Let's listen to both now in the context of the mix. It's completely changing the way that this lead sounds feels in this track, and it definitely sounds a lot better and fits a lot better too. Lastly, we have Techncolor, which is a saturation tool. So I'll go in here. Anything with the CC prefix is the new presets that we can use. And let's go into, let's see, we can go into Crush Sauce. Let's start there and we'll go through some of the presets. Definitely some bit crusher on there. That's pretty cool. A little bit of a lo-fi sound. I like the way this one sounds, this pad tapey. I feel like it adds a nice warmth to the saturation. So in my dry wet to taste. This adds a bit of warmth and a bit of grit to that sound. Let's listen to all three in the context of the mix now. It feels a little bit far away to me, so I'm going to dial back the dry wet on both vapor dimension and fluty loops. I think that sounds pretty good. Lastly, I'm quickly going to show you Techncolor on the drums, just adding a little bit of saturation to bulk them up, and then also on the bass. Lastly, Techncolor on the bass. Let's choose this CC bass quick resonance. Adds quite a bit of like that throaty kind of grit, makes the bass feel pretty cool. One more thing, I'll throw a poly space onto my atmospheres just to give them a bit more space, depth, and reverb. Now let's listen to the track before and after I've added in these 3 different plugins to the different layers that I've shown you in the video. And if you want to download these plugins or the expansion pack, check the description below for information on that. If you want to check out any of the other Karanyi Sounds products that I've covered, then check out this video right here, or check out this video right here that YouTube thinks you'll like based on algorithm preferences.